Hello, everyone. I'm happy to have a professor of economics with us. Right now, we have with us Dr. Navya Sateeshchandra. Let's listen to her. Over to you, Doctor. Please go ahead, Professor.
Thank you, Dr. Subodh Madhusa. At the outset, I would like to begin by expressing my sincere gratitude to Dr. Subodh sir for inviting me to speak at this unique online platform. His vision and leadership have been truly inspiring. He was just mentioning, I don't know whether I am 73 or 33. Seriously, I'm very impressed by this unique online platform. Today, I'm excited to share my insights and perspectives on institutional economics. What exactly institutional economics reveals about what it is all about. I want to highlight the uniqueness of institutional economics. Before coming into the topic, I just want to introduce myself very short. I'm Dr. Navya Gubbi Sateeshchandra. I have been working as a professor here in Berlin School of Business and Innovation, Berlin, Germany. I live in Germany since 5.5 years. Okay, I'm excited to get into this fascinating world of institutional economics. Um, I think while you may be familiar with traditional concepts like microeconomics, macroeconomics, development economics, economics of growth and development, labor economics, and health economics, financial economics, all these traditional economic concepts we know very well. And sometimes when we talk about economics, even a layman who doesn't know anything about economics say about the law of demand, law of marginal utility, law of supply, law of demand, something like that. I mean, these concepts are very familiar. These are all very traditional concepts of microeconomics, macroeconomics, which many people know about it. I mean, most of them who know something about economics, they just naturally say, okay, all these concepts are very familiar. So institutional economics offers a very distinctive perspective that often goes
Navya,
over.
I'll just put you on pause for a second, okay? We are out of the pause. She was talking about institutional economics. So let's go ahead with that, Dr. Navya, please.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Subodh. That's what I was talking about. How we are people are very familiar with the traditional economic concepts like microeconomics, macroeconomics, development economics, financial economics, and as such. So, institutional economics definitely offers a very distinctive perspective that often goes overlooked. While these more conventional approaches, institutional economics focuses on the role of institutions in shaping the economic behavior and outcomes. So, institutions in this context, I'm not talking about four walls in the building. Institutions in the context refer to formal and informal rules, norms, and practices that govern economic activity. I mean, we know what is economic activity, what is economics, and what is an economy. We know all such things, right? Economy is a system that provides people with all the means of livelihood. So, by examining how institutions influence everything, from property rights and contract enforcement to social networks and cultural values, we gain a very deeper understanding of how economies function and value and evolve. So I have chosen to explore this institutional economics because I believe it's a critical lens for analyzing contemporary economic challenges. By understanding the institutional underpinnings, by understanding the institutional economics, by understanding this subject as a whole, we can definitely better identify the potential obstacles to growth, potential obstacles to inequality, and other pressing issues. I hope this particular presentation that I am presenting today will definitely shed light on the unique insights offered by institutional economics, probably and inspire others also to explore this fascinating, field of economics further. So when we definitely this particular institutional economics draws attention on many different fields such as psychology, management, commerce, sociology, and several other public policy and several other distinct fields. It is very essential to understand the nature of institutions and their economic and social influence on the evolution and performance of economies. The study of economic literature, this particular study of institutional economic literature, has led us to believe that two seminal contributions have come in economics field significantly from two Nobel laureates. That is, one is Elinor Ostrom. Elinor Ostrom, who was the first Nobel Prize winner in Women Nobel Prize winner in economics field, and Oliver E. Williamson, another professor. Both these economists, apart from expressing their delight in the way in the way the people develop institutions in solving the human problems, have further they have further contributed to the mechanism and to the origin of formatting formats in drawing up of the solutions of the providing the safety, providing the security, providing the authenticity and ownership for strengthening the institutional mechanisms through strong innovation approach. Their Actually, my PhD thesis is on institutional economics, where I have completely concentrated much towards the contribution given from Oliver E. Williamson and Elinor Ostrom for the economics domain. So, what I'm trying to talk here is this is a very unique concept. It is of very recent origin, which many people may not be knowing what exactly this institutional economics is all about. So this is the purpose of what I mean. They have introduced actually the new institutional economics as well. Institutional economics, we talk about old institutional economics, medium, I mean, neoclassical, after neoclassical, how exactly the institutional economics has been coming up. But these two economists, Nobel Prize winners, Oliver E. Williamson and Elinor Ostrom, have significantly contributed to the field of new institutional economics. What is this? The purpose of this new institutional economics principles, the purpose of this new institutional economics principle here is to ensure, what exactly they need to ensure is that the value creation in building the resurgent social and the human capital. This thought may be derived from the new institutional economics to explore a very wide range of economic problems, including the process of economic policy making and suggestions. This will enable to understand the nature of institutional economics, principles, and this will definitely approach the application of the governance mechanisms. So, what are some of the major concepts of this new institutional economics, or the concept of institutional economics, revolves around? There is a concept of governance. You might be knowing about what exactly nowadays it has been a mutable and debatable, concept. What exactly the good governance mechanism? What is good governance? People are talking about governance. Governance, that is not correct. This is not correct. And what is correct? What is governance? What is good governance? So this is the very essential essence of this, institutional economics. What is good governance? Good governance always, goes parallel with efficient and transparent accountability. So institutions in the process of this producing the results will definitely fulfill the needs of society, and to make the efficient utilization of the resources at their disposal. So efficient governance, what exactly this efficient governance we are talking about should be attractive to all the organizations. It should be attractive to all the institutions and leadership teams, which will lead to the sustainability, profitability, transparency in the administration system. So, in the process of administration system going, successfully well, a healthy culture and positive reputation would always fall in place if good governance existence is seen. So the rise of new institutional economics, the concept of the rise of new institutional economics pitches a significant contribution to the much wider debate on good governance. So the new institutional economics arose as a result of developing interest among rational choice economists that how it is giving the explanations for the emergence and the change of the institutions, specifically in the field of attention of agency theory approach, part dependency theory, and several other institutional attention to develop the agency theory approach and the structural transformation that we are talking about. So this concept of good governance and this new institutional economic approach are really the two faces of the same coin, I can say. The purpose and an attempt are towards focusing on the institutions to manage the demands and the cost of the transactions, cost of the supply, cost of the transaction with efficient governance mechanisms. So this, when we talk about institutions, how exactly, I mean, probably we must be talking about the focusing on institutions to manage the demand and the cost transactions with efficient governance mechanisms. That's what I was about to tell. Sometimes we may be thinking that how this institutions have been evolved and why we need institutions, and we may be even thinking that uh, why we require institutions. I mean, we may be thinking that it may be formal institution or it may be informal institution, could be anything. So institutions have emerged mainly to solve human problems. They have emerged mainly because problems have emerged. No one will force the problem and start with their institutions. When problem has emerged and reached a stage where no one can solve, then institutions will solve it. So the study of economic literature, the study of institutional economic literature has led us to believe that two seminal contributions have come up. Oliver E. Williamson and Elinor Ostrom have significantly contributed. That's I have told in the beginning. These economists, apart from expressing their delight in the way people develop institutions in solving human problems, have further contributed to the mechanism and to the origin of formatting formats in drawing up the solutions for providing safety, security, and authenticity. So then what are institutions? What exactly are institutions all about? You may be asking me the question now that what are institutions that you are talking about now then? I mean, it is not, again, I'm just telling you, it is not about four walls or, it's a building or something like that. It's completely a wrong assumption. Many of my students also ask me whenever I come up, telling about institution, they ask, ma'am, what is that institution you are talking about? I mean, they immediately, people or students will assume that it is just four wall of building something, we go and get the things done and coming back. It's not something like that. Institutions are the formal and informal rules, norms, and practices that cover the economic and social behavior. They can be anything from laws and regulations to customs, traditions, social networks. Institutions shape the way people interact, make decisions, and allocate the resources. Then we may be thinking that why institutional economics is important for an economy. Why it is most important for an economy as such. That institutional economics is very crucial. Very crucial. That is what when I was doing PhD, I was just thinking I had a desire that I should produce PhD which is very unique, that it should be outside the traditional economic approach like micro, macro, and something like that. So why many people were asking me while I was submitting my thesis, and why institutional economics is very important for an economy. Yes, it is very, very important for an economy. Why it is, in fact, I can say it's a very crucial. Why? Because for shaping the economic outcomes, for shaping the economic behavior, institutions influence the economic behavior. They provide the framework. They provide the framework within which economic agents operate. They provide the framework within which it affects the incentives, expectations, and the decision making. How institutions determine the market outcomes? What are all some of the measures that institutions will determine the market outcomes? What some of the how the institutions derive the market outcomes? So the structure and the efficiency, the structure and the function, the structure and the efficiency of the markets which are largely determined by the underplaying of the institutional framework, underlining the institutional framework. So institutions not only determine the market outcomes, it also shapes the economic development. It also shapes the economic growth. The path of the economic development, is influenced by the nature and the quality of the institutions. And it definitely, determines the nature and the quality of the institutions as a whole. So institutions can be a source of economic growth. Institutions can be a source of economic growth or stagnation. Good institutions can foster economic growth, while bad institutions can hinder it. So, what are some of the key principles of institutional economics then? What are all how the institutional economics, what are all some of the key notes, key principles of institutional economics that we are talking about? There is a concept in institutional economics called path dependency theory. Path dependency. What do you mean by path dependence? Economic development is often path dependent, meaning the past choices and the events have a lasting impact on the future outcomes. There is a concept of bounded rationality. What is bounded rationality in institutional economics? Economic agents have limited cognitive abilities and information, which can lead to suboptimal decisions. What the people will take, what the agents will take, what the administration department will take. So what is transaction cost? And Oliver E. Williamson has significantly contributed about the transaction costs in his in his seminal contribution. He has made a wonderful analysis of how the transaction costs have been applicable for institutional economics. The costs associated with conducting the economic transactions can significantly influence market outcomes, market behavior, and economic outcomes. And another one we talk about in institutional economics is power and the distribution. The distribution of power and the resources. The dichotomy between the power and the resources within an economy can affect the economic outcomes and the institutional change. So why institutional economics is considered as important, that I was just mentioning why institutional economics is considered as very important, because it provides a more comprehensive and very realistic understanding of economic phenomenon than traditional neoclassical economics. So by focusing on the role of institutions, by focusing on the role of the institutional, by the institutional framework that we are talking about, it helps to explain a wider range of economic outcomes, wider range of economic analysis, including economic growth and development, income inequality, market efficiency, economic transition. So when we talk about institutional factors which can play a crucial role in promoting or hindering the economic growth, when we talk about income inequality, the distribution of the income and wealth is often influenced by the institutional factors. And market efficiency, the efficiency of the markets, can be affected by the institutional framework within which it operates. So what is this economic transition? The success or the failure of economic transitions can be influenced by institutional factors. So these concepts, what we call it as economic growth, it can be what we call it as income inequality, it can be market efficiency, or it can be economic transitions. These are very important. These are very important aspects. These are all very important concepts that we, deal in institutional economics, and which we consider as very crucial, along with bounded rationality, transaction costs, path dependency theory, power and distribution. All these are the major concepts that I just explained about it. So when we talk about, in conclusion, I just want to summarize that institutional economics offers a very valuable perspective on understanding the complexities of the economic systems, understanding the complexities of the economic activities, and how it how it plays a very important role in promoting or hindering the economic growth. By recognizing the importance of institutions, by analyzing the importance of institutions, by examining the importance of institutions, we can develop definitely more effective policies and strategies for promoting economic growth, for promoting economic development, and for promoting economic equity. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for a very powerful and clear exposition. I do have some things I want to discuss with you, but before
Yes.
we do that, I want you to tell us about how you came to where you are. Not just what you are doing now and your views and all, but what was it like to grow up? What was your college, etc., and how you made your decisions and all that. So just let's listen to the personal side also.
Okay. I have been working in academic domain since 13 years. I have come from India and I am settled now in Germany since 5.5 years. Uh, why I have chosen academic field? My passion is teaching profession. Probably when I was in grade 10th, many of my family members and friends were wondering why I have chosen arts domain, and I intentionally took arts while everybody preferring science and commerce. I preferably preferred arts. Everybody was wondering actually why I have chosen arts domain. Because I was very much interested in arts domain, and I'm a classical singer as well. So in that actually I met several good professors, nice professors, and also many of my family members are also in teaching profession. And so in this way, I'm very much interested in teaching profession. So I have come to academic domain. I have been in teaching profession since almost 13 years. Uh, Presently, I'm right now working in Berlin School of Business and Innovation as an economics faculty.
So what happened after class 10? What did you do?
Subodh sir?
After class 10, which college did you go to? How did you choose
Oh,
that?
yeah, okay.
All that.
Yeah,
Let's
okay.
listen. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I started my journey working as a lecturer in BMS College for Women in Bangalore. Then I just worked there for some time, and then I worked in Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, which is a very old institution in Bangalore for several years. And then I just worked in Ministry of Finance for some time, where I worked in Fiscal Policy Institute, Government of Karnataka. Then I worked in Ministry of Ministry of External Affairs, Embassy of India, Berlin there. And also I just worked with NGO, where I somehow thought that, okay, fine, let me just work with NGO and gain some sort of experience. Then I worked in NGO for some time. And then I came to Germany. I finished my language certification courses, B1 till B1 certification, A1, A2, B1. I finished my German language certification courses. I worked in Ministry of External Affairs, Indian Embassy, Berlin, and then I got an opportunity again to come back to the teaching profession, and so I have been working as a professor in Berlin School of Business and Innovation, Berlin, Germany.
Okay. So, all right. Let's come back to your professional discussion. And, I'm quite sympathetic to the whole discussion. And what I have done in my writing is to create a new word rather than to
Mhm,
say by institution. I don't mean four walls, because it's very confusing. So I call that as meta-economic factors.
mhm.
So meta-economic means factors that are not economic but affect the economy.
Exactly, exactly.
And when I wrote, 3 years ago, I wrote a book, India
Oh,
2047, and chapter 2 is on the meta-economic factors.
oh, very wonderful. Thank you.
Because I wrote in it that unless we set up the rules properly, and
Mm-hmm.
unless you set up the rules, regulations, and all that, for example, if you don't have an efficient, unbiased judiciary, you are stopping economic growth. You need to have an efficient, quick results.
Definitely. Yes.
To settle commercial disputes, not necessarily criminal cases, but there are always commercial disputes, and those commercial disputes must be settled quickly and in an unbiased way by the courts. So this is a meta-economic factor, the existence of such a judiciary which settles commercial disputes. The law is clear, the dispute resolution is quick. It may be not necessarily a court, it may be mediation, it may be arbitration, what they call alternative dispute resolution. But then finally, if there has to be a court, it must be an unbiased decision. So, and I pointed out that in the Constitution, in the Indian Constitution, you have the concurrent list, and this concurrent list is a mess. This is lack of accountability and lack of willingness of any party to take the...
Actually, what I spoke today about the bounded rationality, social norms, trust, about rules and regulations, all this connecting to the meta-economics, which is relatively a very new domain, but seeks to understand the
So I'm not an expert on it, but I wrote meta-economic factors to avoid using the word institution because it just confuses a lot of people.
Definitely.
What do you mean?
Yes.
So I created after much thought, I created this term, meta-economic factors. And I did write in it that before we do any economic analysis, we need to understand the role of meta-economic factors.
Correct.
And unless we settle those meta-economic factors, we will be restricting our growth opportunities. So it's not a very detailed discussion, it's just a short chapter, but it is the priority chapter in that book. That unless you get to the meta-economic factors are very important, and we need to discuss those and understand those. So I'm fully on board with what you are saying. Of course, you are the expert. I'm not. I just am a user of that knowledge. If you take a look at that book, it's available easily on Amazon. But chapter 2 is, and now I'm planning chapter 2 in my book on economics, India 2047. And I'm planning to update that book because in that book, it's focused on removing constraints. There's no goals in it. So now after that, I have put down some goals for India 2047. And I'm going to merge that with my old book. And in it will be therefore some discussion of the meta-economic factors and linking them to the goals. Okay, we can't just say we have to do meta-economic factors. They can do X, Y, this, that, and I'll say, what are you talking about? Which goal do they contribute to, right? So I will have that little bit of that discussion. This is not going to be academic book with, a lot of footnotes and details. It's just going to be oriented to the average person, lay person and reader. But I will certainly have that. And when you mentioned governance, one of the goals, I think 10, I can't decide whether I have 10 or 11 goals, but probably 11 goals, though I've written them as 10. One of those goals is to improve the quality of life by good governance.
Definitely.
Okay, so the quality of life, because I've basically separated the goals into economic growth and quality of life. Okay. And some things are there which don't necessarily lead to economic growth, but they improve the quality of life.
Definitely.
And in the quality of life, there is a very short point about governance. So all this I will expand a bit, but I have many other things to do now. So in 2025, that's my target, to put out a book like that. Of course, it will have some discussion of what I've called as meta-economic factors and some discussion of governance, but certainly not very detailed, but it will be there.
Yes.
Okay, so I am quite sympathetic to what you are saying. In fact, more than sympathetic, I've written about it already. and I'm planning to write about it, because
Thanks.
unless we
Thank
have
you.
a recognition of that in India, we are not going
Definitely.
to, or in any country, and one of those meta-economic factors, by the way, is something that many people don't think about. And that is,
True.
we must have a system of peaceful transition of power. And if you look
True.
around India's neighbors, countries, very few have a former living head of the government in the country. And we do. And that is a great meta-economic factor, that you have a peaceful transition of power. You can have a former prime minister, you can have a former chief minister who's leading a normal life. If you look in Bangladesh today, there's no former head of the government. Sheikh Hasina is in India. If you look in Pakistan, the former prime minister is in jail, Imran Khan, right? The others are dead and Imran Khan is in jail. Nawaz Sharif is living a life, but he is the older brother of the prime minister. So that doesn't count, right? He's de facto, he is not the de jure prime minister, but he's the de facto prime minister. If you look at many African countries, they don't have a living former head of the government. Rwanda, Uganda, they don't have a former living head of the government. No peaceful transition of power, not in China. So one of my points is that we need a country that is mature and can progress. Now, China, of course, defies every rule, so I'll leave that out. But for countries that are not China, you need, that is a key sign of social and political maturity.
True.
That if not at the prime minister level, you go to the state level and you say, yeah, former chief minister must be selling pakoras on the roadside. Who cares? Yeah. We have
Nobody.
them. Plenty of
Correct.
them. We have them. It's no big deal. He's there. Okay, fine. Who cares? He's not he or she is not the chief minister, whatever they're doing there. But that is a meta-economic factor.
Definitely.
The custom that when the power transition takes place and we forget about the other person and we focus on the current person, and we don't put them in jail and we don't harass them and we don't bother them. We just ignore them. Okay. Whatever they are doing, sannyas, whatever, who knows? Let them be, it's their life. And that is a sign of political and social maturity, which is needed to actually spur investment. That there should not be such upheavals. Like, who's going to invest in Bangladesh right now? Sheikh Hasina is gone. Nobody knows what's in power. Nobody knows what's happening. Who's going to put any investment anywhere? So if you want investment, you need stability.
Definitely.
Political and social stability. And you need a governance system which is not just about governance, but right at the very top. That, look, this person is not going to put the other fellow or other woman in jail and have a non-stop fight and debate. We can get down to business. Like, Pakistan can never grow because you keep putting the former prime minister in jail or killing them. I mean, what the heck is that? Right? US has 4 former presidents living. One is 100 years old, Jimmy Carter. Okay. That means it's got maturity. UK also has, India also has always had a former, Nehru died, okay, fine. But Gulzari Lal Nanda was there, so we'd have had, or what I mean is, there must be a meta-institutional system of peaceful transition of power, both at the state and at the union level. So let me stop talking. I'm just agreeing with you
No,
on
no, no, it's
how
wonderful insight that
important
you are
it
giving.
is to have that. And this, the concurrent list is a particularly bothersome issue for me, because in it we have health and agriculture. And health was not there. They put it from the state level to the concurrent list. And in agriculture, we put it in the concurrent list. It's a state subject, but we pretend it's a joint subject.
Exactly.
Big mistake. We have to stop this mistake. So I'm in sympathy with what you said. Okay, let me stop here. Please, you have anything more to add? Go ahead.
Nothing, sir. I mean, thank you so much. I mean, this I need to just work on this meta-economics concept. It's relatively a very new field that seeks
No,
to
nobody
understand
used, that's a word I've created.
defined
That's my
assumptions.
word. Honestly, it's my word. I thought
Yeah,
about it
wonderful.
long before I wrote my chapter 2 that I can't call it institution because it just confuses. And so what should I call it? Then I said it's meta-economic, which is not economic, it's above economics. It's above economics, and yet it influences economics. And so anyway, so if we have nothing else, then we can end it here today. And thank you so much.
So thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk about this.
Okay, fine. Let's end it here. I'll be back with a young person or an expert soon. Till then, bye everybody.